I'll scoop back just a little bit to the left. Good. Okay, so we are now live. Let me see which one this is. That one is YouTube. Okay. So while we wait for Heath and Julia to show up, I've decided to do meditation with Steve, as Steve is now actively learning and practicing mindfulness full time. So every morning, find some time to yourself. Don't just get up, brush your teeth, and get your day going, because that you get into a habit and then you make mistakes. That's how people make mistakes. Walking out of the door. So before your day, you set your intention and you calm your mind for clarity. As you set your mind for clarity, you set your intention for the day. And by doing so, you focus on that. Because as your day is going, you already know exactly what you got to do: car, keys, wallet, phone. What do I have to do? Who do I have to meet? Got to get gasoline. Where's my debit card? Where's Sam's Club? So you would sit back straight, mindful of the posture. Something that you have to be mindful of is the posture. Shoulders relaxed. And you just focus on the in breath and the out breath, the rising of the abdomen, the falling of the abdomen. And just watch and notice your breath. If it's long, you know it's long. If it's short, you know it's short. If it's shallow, you know it's shallow. So at this time, you will practice mindfulness of the breath. You take your first 3 deep breaths. Back straight. You know your back is straight. Fix your posture if you feel like you're slumping. Mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the posture, mindfulness of the neck, mindfulness of the shoulders. Now relax your concentration. Feel refreshed. Need to stretch. Stretch. Stretch your feet. If you need to come back to this table for studies or CBT, go ahead. Oh, there they are. You missed us sitting here meditating for 20 minutes. I figured y'all had traffic or something.
Just tired.
Come read this.
What?
I lost my voice, but come read this on YouTube. Why don't you read it out loud so the rest of the world can hear?
I got a question street out. So I'm going to a temple soon. Would they mind me looking like a baddie? Because I'm not changing anything on exterior, at least. Oh my god.
That's what our world is coming to. This is exactly what our world is coming to.
Caring about how they look in a temple.
Right? I mean, you sure care about how you look in a temple, but
Yeah, not like that.
the opposite of what
Yeah.
that person's saying. How was your week?
Mine? Oh, you're about to hear it.
I always do that. Oh, it's my cousin's birthday. birthday today.
Steven, just close the door, come back, sit, bring your notes, bring CBT.
Oh, I'll tell him later. It's his birthday all day. Can you turn that down a little bit? Thank you. Oh man.
Cause lights.
No, we need the light. Here it comes. Sit. Y'all gonna have to bear with me because I had lost half my voice because he took me to the gym and I caught probably some kind of a disease in there. Let's pay homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sankhaya. We pay respect and homage to the worthy one, the blessed one, the fully enlightened Buddha. So, just start off with a few things here. The publisher reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you send what you got so we can tell you if we need more? We gonna need more." As I sat there and tried to work on this thing with the existence of this thing, they keep on knocking me out, struggling to stay awake and really get on this thing. I was able to come up with a list. Oh, there it is. So the book is called Buddhism Now, and this whole list talks about why we need Buddhism now. Well, before I share that with all of you, you asked me about my week. Do you want to tell them about what happened yesterday?
Well, what?
Boom.
So it was practice. He was like showing somebody how to drive. Oh my god, this is crazy.
A female student.
Yeah, female student, and so Venerable was standing right here, right in front of the door.
So the student came back, female student in her 30s, came back from a fishing trip a day prior, dodging to the right. I would credit this to the workings of karma. So karma just came over there and was like, "Huh, we need the venerable, we need him alive." The impact damage made to the door was impressive because had that been a human body,
It would have been smushed.
ER doctor would have a very hard time unless a miracle happens. So, anyways, I was quite unfazed by it. Everybody else was, unless a miracle happens. So, anyways, I was quite unfazed by it. Everybody else was. I was very calm. I was just like, oh, ah, true nature of reality of a new student. Very calm.
Oh, that's funny.
Some good things to discuss about. Even if I died, I would have been the first monk dead in his coffin. Throughout this week, a lot of things transpired. Stephen has become a full time student and meditator. Stephen is really full time with me in close quarters and under direct supervision and guidance. This young man asked, well, he said, well, he asked, he made a statement and then he asked, He says, your book has the potential to make a lot of money, and you've been delaying this book in prioritizing me. Why did you do that? Why are you doing that? Oh, damn it. I forgot. Instagram. They missed the story. It's all right. They can go back to it. Just want to get it up. Okay. Stephen says, you're working on this is very important. It is very important. Um, why are you focusing on me? And I said, you or anybody else, the same, the same. And so he goes to the gym. He comes back to see me after the gym, and he walks in on certain counseling sessions as I'm talking to people in California, students in California. And clearly, these students take precedence and priority. It is the priority over and above all everything else. So there's a reason why the flow of whatever flow it is not coming out for this book like it needs to. So there's still clearly mental reservations I have for this book. But I just wanted to showcase Stephen is that he's very quick to action. I've noticed over the past week that has transpired, and it's kind of like raising a kid, just like every other students under my guidance. But the other ones don't get they get less of an attention, especially those who are not present in my presence, because I cannot watch and see them. One of the things that kids go wrong in society is lack of parental supervision. The parents like whatever, do whatever you do, and the parents has to work and they have to do the dishes and they have to take care of little Johnny. The complexity and just everything about raising a child, about paying close attention to the little things that they do, catching their mistakes, and seeing the dangers in their mistakes without being a controlling parent. Now I kind of know what it feels like to be a John Cha. Under the guidance and supervision of a John Cha, I'm pretty sure he wasn't that micromanaged, but he cultivated some of the best future arahants to come, who is still present this day. So, was that too controlling this week? Did you feel like I was watching you a little too much?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Do you think it was good for you?
Yep.
There were mistakes that he made that was caught afterwards, before my supervision. And I hope that you reflect on those mistakes, how costly it is, with emotions, with time, energy, effort, and the things that could have been put forward into something productive, worthwhile. Keyword worthwhile. These young kids, the multiple complexities in working with them is 20 years old, brain still developing, hormonal changes, bored, loneliness. The boredom and the loneliness thing is why they're on their phone a lot. The feel sense of connectedness to the world and their friends. Hey, what are you guys doing? Now we're playing games. So we're out playing poker or something like that. And then the conversation stretches for like 2 hours and not even aware that 2 hours has passed by. True or false?
True.
Then the hormonal thing is that then they all look at girls on whatever, all of the apps. They get themselves in all sorts of trouble talking to females and playing that game. And then you waste another 2 hours. As a venerable father, you can't really object. Because if you push too hard or if you're on them too hard, that's why kids run away. That's why we have the missing and exploited children list in Walmart. The proper adjustment and calibration of the middle way of parental supervision, where in this case, mindfulness supervision. In its extreme form in New York, it's a New York cop of, I think, 20 years, was raising his 8-year-old and snapped. The 8-year-old soiled himself in the home. The former NYPD. He's not NYPD, he's New York. He's New York, just like other cities and counties in there. The former police officer took the child outside, spanked him, and left him out 76 degrees something. That was like 15 degrees below normal something. The child froze to death, literally froze to death. The prosecutor said this is one of the most horrific things they've ever investigated. So both the biological father and the mother, but they're estranged now. They're no longer married. Was charged with, I think, murder. It's heartbreaking because police officers should know better, right? In its extreme form, examples in societies that they should know better. But due to the lack of being informed of the teachings of the Buddha, he didn't know the middle way. When to walk away, when to just see the true nature of a child. It's the true nature of a child, especially with special needs, is they're gonna soil themselves. Poo, pee and poo in the home. You glance through TikTok, you see people raising monkeys. They have monkeys in the home running around. But there's this spider monkey running around. It's really cute. Like the tail, just like, he's dragging, he's grabbing the dog's tail. And he's just like, oh, yeah, just pull me. I mean, the monkey has the diaper. It's the true nature, reality of a monkey to poo and pee in the house. That's why it has a diaper on. So, lack of mindfulness leads to the extreme when it comes to parenting. And that's why everyone has to study mindfulness and practice mindfulness and to be calm in those moments of anything that happens. Either a car is flying at you, a kid is pooping himself, or these kids, I don't know what they do. You get what I'm saying? The power of staying calm. The power of staying calm at any given time. This week, Stephen hit the emotions part of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And the book penetrated him in the car. It means it touched his heart, it grabbed his heart. Probably like, it's amazing because it's the same feeling I got when I was 23 reading, and the same feeling you all have when you guys are reading sentence for sentence. And you realize, oh my God, all of this was in the workings, and I've been running away from it. And there was a stage where you saw CBT's effect on him. And I wish that I could sat a little longer with him while he was processing his emotions and cognitively processing everything that was happening. It's too bad I had to drop him off. But it was a moment to capture, to sit with, to process. So today we're going to just review. Stephen also wants to work on public speaking.
Okay.
There is a lot of areas of things that I've noticed in Generation Zoomers that is needing attention. When they're texting, they're relying on auto corrections. When it comes to creating a resume, they're relying on apps that makes it so. There's nothing wrong with these things. When we were in school, the existence of the calculator, remember that? And how we started off in arithmetics, the basics, and then comes the calculator. And our teachers say, well, damn it, what happens if one day you don't have a calculator? So one day what happens if these apps aren't around? Or the internet takes a poop? Or China or Russia decides to just wipe out the internet in its totality? It only takes like a couple buttons for everything that we have now gets wiped out in a matter of an instant, right? Digital wars, religious wars, political wars, digital wars. What? You want to nuke us? Go ahead. Beep. Just erase everything. The digital world, has conditioned these kids to really not know anything. They don't know anything. They may know Tom, but they don't know Jack, right? They don't know Jack.
Oh, that's funny.
However, we must see what is going right with this one particular student under direct supervision. Is that he realized that he needs a job soon to save up for the trip that I want to take overseas. So this young man jumps on the phone right away and start applying. I had to make copies at Staples. He's like, I wonder if Staples is hiring. He gets on staples.com/jobs, just add it. There's no hesitation or procrastination when it comes to prioritize what needs to be prioritized, do what needs to be done. The three things never forget: do what needs to be done, practice what needs to be practiced, and study what needs to be studied, right? And we just have to do it. I would have been utterly disappointed had you not get on your jobs application because you would have been just like the rest of them, true or false.
Yep, true.
But they just sit there, they just want to listen to music, they just want to get on Tinder, whatever the hell they get on, and then just do. I'll just leave it out for another day. I'll do it when I get home. Couldn't tell you how many times people say, I do it when I get home. So, anyways, all right, Stephen, now I'm going to turn this thing over to you. And why don't you tell us about chapter one, two, and three? And then these folks, you guys are now visiting teachers to screen chapter one, two, and three and see if what he says is consistent, what he's missing, what he's saying, what he's missing, how is he applying it to his life. Okay, so those are three things you guys are screening for. Chapter one, is it accurate what he's saying? How much of it applies to all of us and himself? Examples that he applies to himself and what he's missing, any elemental missing. We're trying to see how much this young man paid attention to the chapters because from what I could see, I don't know what his notes taking skills is, but here's a good time to review and find out how we're taking notes and how we can improve in taking notes. Go ahead, Steve.
All right, so I didn't really bring my main notes, but I did summarize it all.
That's the first mistake. I didn't bring my main notes.
But I think the notes that I got here summarizes most of it because each section they may be different, but they're all kind of the same. So what I got from I'm only on chapter 6, but what I got so far is for the top 3 basic principles are number 1, developing and practicing new coping skills. Number 2 is always set a short and long-term goal. And number 3 is develop new problem-solving skills. Because I feel like people nowadays they get a problem in front of them and they just don't really know what to do or they do the wrong thing. So you definitely have to know how to steer in the right direction so you don't go a wrong way. First thing on my notes, I have identify errors whenever you think. Because people don't really know what they're
doing wrong, and they'll just go on living their life without knowing anything. Um, do not overthink your situations that are not happening. These go for the people that love overthinking, thinking the worst possible outcome when it's not really happening. It's all just happening up here. Um, and be realistic. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody is perfect. So you just have to live with it. Some people out there would just become really depressed and sad because they did something wrong or they couldn't save someone when it was out of their control to do. Um, Practice and develop reasoning skills. That goes along with being realistic because mine went blank there. Next one is write down your thoughts because if you have no one to talk to, just write it down. It's kind of the same thing. And always spot the difference in behavior. So say if you're thinking of something, you got to spot if it's unhealthy or healthy and know how to gauge it. And look at your actual behavior instead of the behavior that you want to apply. Um, and this was another thing that happened yesterday with him. Make sure you're calm in every situation so you can make the right decision instead of always freaking out. Whenever something happens, you got to just keep calm so you can have the right collective thoughts. And for the last note that I took, the CBT is basically conditioning your brain to think positive so you're not really out there again making the wrong choices and stuff. And yeah, that's what I got.
Teachers? What about the ABCs?
ABCs, I did write about that, but I didn't have it on here. So I don't remember what they were, but I know that there were a couple exercises on there that I did work on. So for example, so I live with my mom, and I used the exercise with what was happening in there because I feel like when I live in there, it's not really a lot of peace, you know? It's always like something going on. So then I identified and then I came up with a solution. And then I think the last one was like a summary for it, but I kind of forgot.
So your activating event, your beliefs, and your consequences. So the trigger, how you feel about the triggering situation.
Yep.
And what are the results of that? For instance, for me, I had my tooth pulled on Tuesday, and that led me down a whole path of all sorts of catastrophizing and anger and everything else. I had to take a medication, and I'm sober. And one of these medications was a medication that I used to abuse. We were in the same classification.
Yeah.
That upset me that I had to take that medicine. But I put my faith in the doctor, assuming that this medication was going to help me during that moment. And it didn't. All it did was fog me up. I couldn't think clearly. I woke up right as soon as they were starting to pull my tooth is when I woke up from my little nap. And then I had to sit there angry, very angry, under the influence of a medication that I did not want to take.
Yeah.
That lasted for a couple days.
Wow.
Like the lingering effects of it lasted for days. So I was really upset for that time period. I wasn't thinking clearly because I was under the influence of the medication. So I was angry. I couldn't focus on anything until after my mind cleared up. So the consequences were that I was angry. I was feeling like crap. I was angry. And the police for that. I didn't want to take this, and I put my faith in the doctor that this was the right thing, which I think is still, typically speaking, the right action to take. But I should have known as well by looking up this medication that it probably wasn't the right thing. I should have just done it. Just had my tooth pulled because I was awake anyways.
Yeah.
And then I was messed up.
Yeah.
But then another instance was talking about parenting and things like that. I had this instance. We went to the movies a couple of days ago, and there was this group of kids, and I mean, they were just unruly. I mean, there was like 10 people in the theater, or probably 15 people, 3 people in front of us 2, and then this group of kids. And for like half the movie, like, it's okay, it's calm and peaceful, it is what it is. It's the true nature of children to behave the way they're acting. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. So then I removed myself from the situation. For the first time, I think, in movie history, I got up and walked out of the theater for a minute. During a movie I really wanted to watch. And then the kids came out. And I was like, don't you guys realize there's other people in this theater that are trying to watch us? You're being loud, you're being, and I was so calm talking to them until the very end. I dropped the F-bomb. And I said, calm down or get the F out. And I calmed down. But I shouldn't have reacted that way.
Yeah.
So these are the situations that I was using some insight meditation, attempting. I'm not really doing a whole lot, trying to dissect the 12 links to figure out why I behaved the way I behaved. But that goes deeper than what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Well, at least you identified it.
Yeah. So, but that was like the activating event was like, for instance, the kids were being unruly. The beliefs that I had, they shouldn't be unruly. This is a movie theater. You're here to watch a movie. But the reality is they're kids.
Yeah.
13, 14, 15, I don't know how old, they're teenagers.
Uh-huh.
And the consequences were my emotions got out of hand. I got angry. I didn't yell, but I got a little upset with a kid. I'm 33 years old. It's not even my kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I have physical sensations that accompany that. I could feel it coming. I started speaking with one of the guys and the kids, and I felt my heart rate starting to increase. And then I said a word I don't like to say. And I was upset with myself after that. So those are the consequences of my behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So these things are incredibly important. Just doing the ABCs, thinking it through, because unfortunately most of us, we're not going to realize what's happening right away when it's happening until after it's already been said and done. We can identify it to an extent, but if we don't even know about it, how can we fix it? So the ABCs are really important. That was in chapter 1. You mentioned spotting the errors in your thinking. That's under chapter 2. And again, it all goes back to, everything can go back to this basic ABC format. What was the error of our thinking? What was the error of my thinking? To think that kids aren't going to be crazy, and so on and so forth. Did you take any notes on, like, there's this one note I really like. I put stars next to the things that I really like to stand out. But I think you mentioned, like, recognizing it for what it is. Like, identify the thought, like, see things as they really are.
Yeah.
So that's important. But focus on what you can do to cope with the situation and the people or resources that can come to your aid. I think that's really important too. That was under chapter 2, where we focus on, we focus on what we can do, fix the situation in a positive way, it's going to help everything. But if we focus on what we can do in a negative way, it's going to be terrible for everybody.
Yep.
For ourselves and others. Venerable didn't overreact when a car almost ran him over.
Yep.
And he was cool. Calm, cool, and collected. Wish I would have seen it. That would have been cool.
Yeah, it was
The
pretty
dash
crazy.
cam was off.
Nah.
Yeah. But do you have anything to add, Miss Julia?
No, I think you covered it, and you did a really good job of it.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Clip notes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, like he was saying, when I was reading, I didn't really get to feel like the full, like it didn't really hit into like chapter 5,
Yeah.
5, 6. I feel like that really helped. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, they all was good, but I feel like I didn't really absorb it as much as this chapter.
Think about the CBT,
Uh-huh.
just like any book, any paper, any essay, you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You have to put together the information.
Yeah.
You have to understand what you're talking about. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You have to put together the information.
Yeah.
You have to understand what you're talking about. That's why when people get books, a lot of people don't read the preference. They read the preference every time. Because it's the introduction to the book.
Mm-hmm.
It sets the book up. So the first couple chapters of CBT essentially set up what you're going to be studying, what you're going to be using. That way you have the tools that you've learned about. It's kind of, or like a movie. I mean, you could turn a movie 3/4 of the way on, and Transformers could be going at it. You know, they could be fighting and turning into trucks and monsters and dinosaurs and gorillas and all kinds of stuff. But you started at the beginning, and you see Shia LaBeouf acting like a goof. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to build up too. You have to know what you're talking about, understand it. That way, when you get to the application part of it, you know what you're applying. And ultimately, the end part will be, and I haven't got to the end of the book yet on myself. I'm on what chapter did I get to? Chapter 9? I think I'm on chapter 9. But I just now in I think it's chapter 9, I'm to the point where I'm like, ooh, this is going to be real juicy stuff.
Yeah.
Anxiety, addiction, depression. Those are what really plagues everybody.
Yeah, correct.
So building up to that is necessary to understand the tools that we're going to be using to get to that point. Not everybody is addicted or has been addicted to drugs or alcohol or whatever, but we all have an addiction to something.
Yeah, correct.
Every human being, unless we've given up everything, we cling to something, we hold on to something. So that to me is going to be important. I went from being addicted to drinking when I was like a teenager, to like smoking pot and taking prescription medications that were prescribed to me, and then getting those same medications that weren't any longer prescribed to me, and then kind of going down a rabbit hole and killing all of that and eating more food, loving sugar.
Yeah.
So there's always something that not always, but at some point we can give up everything. But that plagues humanity. Depression, we're always upset about. There's always something that we could think about that could make us upset. And if we don't have the tools to utilize it, to think around that, then that's going to be something that'll plague us. And same thing with anxiety. Constantly worry about the future. I've been worried about, I had to check myself the other day. We've been having our own things going on where we've been worried about future events of just this month and the next month. And you know what? It was all for nothing. All for nothing. I literally sat down, I like brought myself back into presence, and I'm like, it is what it is. It can't be what it is. And I can't do anything at all about that, about what's coming up or what may come up or what may not come up a day, a week, a month from now, because I'm sitting in my car right now on a Saturday or Friday or whatever, because I didn't go to work this week, which I also was upset about. It's part of what I was referring to. I'm like, well, I can't do anything, go to work. Or mouth hurts like crazy.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? Go to work next week. You know?
Yep.
So, and then, funny enough, things worked out the way they were supposed to work out. I was able to get what I needed to get and take care of what I needed to take care of, and things will pan out with the right action the way they're supposed to pan out. Ultimately, I think everything will pan out the way it's supposed to pan out, whether it's right or wrong, because it's according to karma, and that's a whole different conversation. However, I digress. Oh man, that's the most talking I've done in a long time.
It's good for me. All right, take that seat over there so you can listen to what I'm going to say.
Truthful, man.
Yesterday, Stephen and I had a conversation let's go back to half-assing things in life. Remember, I told you there's certain people in my driving instructor days. Remember, I told you that certain people drive and the way how they drive. When you stand and you just look at the way how they drive, the carelessness. There were times where I was very frustrated as an instructor, standing there, and I'm just like, I just want to go over there and just roll down your window. I do that a lot. I stand on the outside with a radio and I give instructions over the little two-way radio, and I'm not sitting in the car with them. And you just stand there and you just watch. You know when someone's careful, because someone who's careful is always careful. Like those stop blinkers, everything is done according to the books. Then you have those reckless ones, the one that just don't give a flying squirrel. And truly, they don't give a flying squirrel. So the instructor go over there, and I said, and I have a very unique way to get people to like wake up. That's I've always been known to do that. One of which is you walk over there and you said, I notice you're very reckless. So I'm wondering that when you poop, do you even wipe? Because you're so reckless that I have reason to believe that when you poop, you don't even wipe. You just get up and you just keep on going. And that wakes people up. That people are like, you know what I mean? It wakes people up.
Oh man, that's so funny.
My point is that when we're taking notes and when we're doing things in life, try not to be reckless. It will not serve you well because we want shortcuts. Now, Stephen's the way how Stephen was presenting to you all gave me of his communication skills. I think the kids lack communication skills is because either lack of interaction, too much on time phone, so they're interacting on the phone more than they actually interact with humans. I'll just say that for now. It, Yesterday, Stephen and I also spoke about quality of life. And I guess back in my days, I was more mindful than I thought. Not to say, yeah, gee, that was perfect from the beginning, in the middle, and then probably towards the end. No. But I reflected because Stephen got to walk in when Mike spoke to me. I haven't seen that kid in 8, 9 years. And I reflected on my leadership when I was younger. I mean, even in high school. I mean, throughout my whole life, I was in a position of leadership. Not that I wanted to be, but there was nobody else that could lead the darn pack. And Starshine Talent Show, Northeast High School, 2005. After being bullied in school, I decided to display uh, martial arts. And I said, Russell, Travis, Craig, Cisco, I said, would you all mind doing this with me? I'm going to get up there and play Jet Li and Jackie Chan. And each of you are going to hold this weapon, nunchucks, stick. Everyone was assigned something to do something. Attack from the front, the sides, and from the back. There is this one movement where someone jumps in front of me and they throw two punch. I block the first one, block the second one, boom, he's down. Then here comes Craig. Craig goes flying. Here comes Russell. I don't know what I did with Russell. And somebody from behind me and you kind of in the back. We had to practice for it. And everyone, we called each other. We said, let's meet at Fossil Park. And Fossil Park we go. And we just made it work. And we had a blast. We became very famous. All of them had females left to right because they didn't realize that these kids could have these skills. Nobody ever touched me again in that hallway because they realized I was Jackie Chan or Jet Li. But what they didn't know is that there was no power to my kicks. There was just speed. There was no substance to the kick. So therefore, I mean, if I would have kicked somebody, probably in the gonads would take effect, but other than that, it wouldn't take effect. But the fact that unprecedented speed, it was amazing. The ability to articulate, to talk, Stephen, communicate, very important. It improves the quality of life and leadership. Remember the target situation? How I says maybe you don't know how to speak to the managers. Something to relook at. And the reason why some of these jobs make it so hard for you to get a job is because they want you to work for it, fight for it, and realize that the process is long so that you don't quit midway. So this young man has gone through quite a few jobs, and I'm noticing a pattern of probably not being able to speak to the manager. Granted, we don't expect them to fully know how to speak to a manager because, you know, managers, managerial, and these guys are like, yeah, my job sucks, my back hurts. It's the manager's job to actually fully understand more than what they're trying to say and put these guys where it needs to go. But it's too bad of a sad of a fact that certain corporations use kids as slaves. Literally look at them as numbers, payroll numbers, and slaves. Stock this until your back gives out. Carry this, carry that. That's it. They don't know. However, must study to improve communication skills so you get what you want. Now, I would assume, and I'm basing this off of the notes that you're taking and how you take your notes and how you read it and how you present it, could be a possibility affecting your romantic relationships with previous girls and foreseeable future relationships to come. If you don't know how to talk to her, forget it. It's a meaningless relationship. Furthermore, CBT trains you how to see things in your partner, in the girl that you want to meet, how her mind is tripping, and how your minds are. You're supposed to be referees of each other, kindful referees, not. So CBT is extremely important and salient tool in your toolbox. $1,000 radio. Well, why so expensive? It is a tool for communication. It can also link up from Miami to Seattle, Washington. He can connect with another cop in Seattle, Washington while he's in Miami in a matter of an instant. He can also pick up the radio and look at it and realize that how many units are on the way and when are they coming. He puts it back on his belt while talking to you, who's about to kill him. And his job is to try to keep you calm because you have mental illness, for example, or you have mental illness, or all three of you guys have mental illness and wanting to kill the cop. So the cop has to use the art of non-violence communication to try to keep all y'all at calm while he's like, I just need to check the time on my radio for a second and realize, oh, shibbits, they're 5 minutes away. That's a long time. Whatever. Those are the features of the new tools these days. The CBT